So there's something that happens in Sunshine, which is that you go to these secret levels, the secrets, and you're basically being taken away into another world uh, where you're navigating a 2D environment, essentially. Mario is sort of returning to his old 2D adventures where it's just a linear path through a platform, basically. It's just a complete kind of bare bones rendition of what the material world is. Just jumping, running, just a sort of basic kind of expression of what it is to walk and jump and crawl and stuff like that. And this does two things, I think, in this game. It sort of strips it down, like I said, to just the bare materials, which is material. So it's sort of what Koizumi was talking about in that interview. In this game, you're playing with matter, you're playing with mud, and I think something that shows that is that you're at many points in the game literally returning to this primordial material world and playing with it, just jumping and running and bouncing and things like that, right? There's nothing else in these worlds apart from that. So something about these worlds is very, just very material. At the same time, what these games are is a return to 2D. You're going back into the 2D world. Mario's returning to the 2D experience through these 3D sort of recreations. So there's a weird kind of nostalgic feel of Mario's returning to a weird dream world of the past. The walls of these worlds are like dreams, projecting psychedelic images on the walls. Images very often of the past, like pixelated Marios and stuff. It's like Mario's literally returning to childhood or something. And so I think it's something about the combination of those two elements that's intriguing me. The fact that you're simultaneously returning to 2D, but also returning to like a basic material world. I think what confuses me about that is that it's combining two things that we usually don't combine. 3D, to me, feels more material than 2D because it's closer to my own experience of the material world, right? The blocks are cubes. Everything's chunky because it's 3D. But for at the same time, right? At the same time, 2D is much more material in a Mario context because there are less things to do. You're not fulfilling different missions in this way that 3D Mario games do, right? It is more directly grounded on walking and running. So whenever Mario returns to a pure experience of platforming, there is an aspect of that harks back to the past. But the future, this sort of greater and greater realism of the graphics that the 3D Mario games attain, also brings us closer and closer to the physical experience of playing with matter. So both things get combined here in a way that also Koizumi refers to how this game was trying to be like an expression of the joy of childhood, basically, right? Playing with water pistols and with water, playing with mud, right? Koizumi wanted this to feel like you're a child at play, which is funny because then these things are getting combined in a way. The material world without the abstract missions being attain this abstract goal, like save this person, or acquire three of these coins, where mathematics and relationships are the center of what's happening, right? Besides these moments, the pure sort of expression of matter is associated by Koizumi to childhood. So then this makes these secret levels much more like a return to childhood too, a return to Mario's childhood, but then also obviously a return to the childhood of the players, because many people who would play these games would have been old enough probably for this not to be their first Mario game. And so these levels are also the game making the players return to their own childhood of playing 2D games. But so this is strange, because then again, these two elements are being combined. The shifting down of dimensions, going down into the depths, as associated to going into lower and lower dimensions, being connected somehow with grounding oneself lower and lower into matter and childhood. So these weird things are being combined, where descending or simplifying things seems to hark back to childhood, to two-dimensionality, and to matter, materiality. So this is getting too long. I don't really want to get this long, but I want to say that Mario, by being 3D, is on our level. I think that's partly what has happened through these games, is that Mario has gone from being a 2D being to a 3D being, in the same 3D as we are. And I think that's why this transition is significant in these games, because suddenly the player and the character on screen are on the same level. Somehow, I think that is important for what is happening. So then Mario, by being on our level dimensionally, is allowed to create this identification with us. As 3D players, we identify with 3D Mario, and so this creates like a safety net. We recognize this sort of three-dimensional humanness. But then what Mario does is somehow take us from that safety net out into a place that is unknown, which is where he comes from, the 2D world, or a world that belongs to something else that isn't entirely human. A world of trees, mountains, rivers, right, that somehow are also sort of alive or thriving with creatures.